Welcome back, and Happy New Year. A new decade, a new year, a chance to start over again, an opportunity to throw money at a gym you'll only go to once or twice, and let me guess, a year to cut out all the toxic people out of your life. Make more money, focus on you, live life to the fullest, and of course, post about it on social media. Actually, my favorite social media posts about the new year are those saying they aren't going to talk about their New Year's goals, but move forward in silence, focusing on the walk, not the talk. Not exactly keeping those resolutions if you're posting about it. Listen, I'm not knocking anyone's New Year's goals, but maybe we could spend more time working on them instead of posting about them. Like Prince William, he is certainly putting his best foot forward this year. The Prince and Duchess announced Earthshot, a 10-year initiative to spur innovation and action to address climate change. Each year, new challenges will be announced that focus on finding solutions to some of the most pressing issues concerning climate change within the science fields. From 2021 to 2030, Earthshot will recognize 50 individuals or organizations for their contributions in attempting to tackle issues surrounding biodiversity, ocean, air, and freshwater pollution, energy, and climate. Winners will not only receive public recognition at an annual award ceremony, but monetary prizes will be given as well. Hey, if there's money on the line, maybe the Trump administration will get behind this one. Now, I know what you all must be wondering. Why the name Earthshot? The name was chosen as a throwback to President Kennedy's 1961 Moonshot Initiative, with the goal of landing astronauts on the moon by the end of the decade. Aside from conspiracy theorists, I think we can all agree the moon landing was a success. But it also spurred rapid innovation, the same type of innovation Earthshot is hoping to encourage. Discoveries made in the attempt to land men on the moon reached across civil, electrical, aeronautical, and many other fields, and resulted in some pretty surprising technologies, including freeze-dried food, fire-resistant clothing, and an integrated circuit, which was the predecessor to the microchip. The royal family has for some time been proponents of addressing climate change. Prince Charles is known for his commitment to fighting deforestation and ocean pollution alongside other sustainability projects, while the Duke and Duchess of Sussex launched their own sustainable travel initiative following criticism over their use of private transportation. Maybe it's all for show. It's certainly easy to criticize those whose lives are splashed all over the headlines every day. But I, for one, see these initiatives for good. That doesn't mean not holding individuals accountable, but this family certainly has the power and money to help spur innovation and real change at the local and international levels. And the timing of Earthshot couldn't be better, because several countries in the Commonwealth are facing some pretty horrific effects of climate change. Most notably, Australian bushfires have been burning intensely since September. Many of you are probably just hearing about this now because koalas. Feel-good stories are popping up left and right about individuals who are taking in and nursing back to health koalas desperately trying to escape the fires. Nothing like feel-good stories to make a disaster headline-worthy. Is anyone else getting sick of do-good stories masking societal and political failures? Don't get me wrong, I too want to cuddle a koala, but more importantly, I want to make it so that no koala has to endure sweaty human embraces. Instead, they should be living peacefully in their natural habitat, munching away on eucalyptus, not fleeing increasing numbers of natural disasters to go stay with Chris down the street. Although, if it's Chris Hemsworth, I would understand. Australia is no stranger to fires, and I suppose it's not shocking to many of us Americans who already think Australia is the most dangerous, terrifying place to live. Honestly, it sounds like a relentless episode of Man vs. Wild. No thank you, whatever that thing is. But this year's fires are out of control, and Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison's half-hearted pleas for citizens to remain calm is doing nothing to address the underlying concerns that the country isn't taking the increasing safety risks associated with rising temperatures seriously. In fact, Australia ranks 56 out of 61 for their climate change policy according to the 2020 Climate Change Performance Index. For any of those confused, 56 is really bad, almost as bad as being in 61st place, which the United States is proudly holding on to. Let's take a look at what's actually happening with the fires. Bushfires occur every year in Australia. but this past season has been exceptionally bad due to prolonged drought and record-setting temperatures. Latest figures estimate over 12 million acres have been decimated. That's the land equivalent of Vermont and New Hampshire combined. Can you imagine what Bernie would do if the entirety of his state was threatened by fire? Here's the real reason koalas are hogging the bushfire headlines. An estimated 500 million animals plus are thought to have perished in the fires so far. 500 million. I couldn't even try to put that into perspective. Some scientists estimate entire populations of certain species of plants and animals have been wiped out in their entirety, although we won't know with any certainty for a long time. While many species have lost their lives, koalas have been particularly hard hit because they don't have the speed necessary to run from the fires. Why are the fires moving so fast? This year, we can easily point to drought and record-setting temperatures, but uncontrolled fires have plagued Australia for centuries, only now exacerbated by rising temperatures. Prior to colonization, controlled cultural burning was conducted as a form of land management and to prevent fires from spreading out of control. Since colonization and industrialization, all in the name of modernization, land has been cleared for livestock with little attention paid to the natural cycles of the flora and fauna on the outskirts, often allowing them to grow out of control and becoming a tinderbox. Wetlands are on fire. Wetlands. You know things are bad when water is on fire. These are ancient forests, which will not regenerate. They will never return. Rivers are drying up too, compounding an already dire situation. 23 people have been killed, 9 deaths which occurred on Christmas Day. I've written this section over and over again, updating numbers, and by the time this episode is live, that number is expected to rise. Over 1,000 homes have been destroyed, schools closed, evacuations occurring every day, thousands trapped in towns, hamlets, and on beaches, desperate for a way out, and the uncertainty of when it will end is just that, uncertain. Some fires are being left to burn as firefighters try to tackle the worst of them. Some just cannot be contained. Firefighters from the United States and other countries have made the journey to join forces and provide much-needed manpower and relief in an attempt to get them under control. Now, even if residents aren't in the direct path of fires, the air quality is reportedly 22 times worse than the standard levels, creating untold respiratory problems for residents. Compounding the issue is that when plants are burned, they release carbon, which means when the fires eventually burn out, they will almost certainly double Australia's carbon emissions. Good thing Prime Minister Morrison is taking things seriously by vacationing in Hawaii and soliciting funds for the Labour Party, all while his country goes up in smoke. Because each country doesn't live under a bubble, that smog, which is choking the air in Australia, setting off fire alarms 500 miles away, and changing the color of glaciers in New Zealand, in addition to suspending ferry services and other daily necessities, it's traveling. Satellite imagery shows wind currents pushing it currently towards South America, but if they continue to burn and the wind shifts, it could affect many more. Oh, and the fires are also creating their own unique weather patterns. The heat from the bushfires exacerbates the problem by producing dry lightning storms and fire tornadoes. As if falling ash, smog so thick you can't breathe, the constant threat of losing your livelihood isn't enough, now residents have to worry about fire tornadoes. I don't know what to say. It's only the beginning of January and I'm already exhausted by the horrible news. But now is not the time to tune out. Why do we only pay attention when things get really bad? I get that we're all distracted by cat memes, feel-good videos, and our shiny new gym memberships. But what happened to being proactive instead of offering up thoughts and prayers on social media when the terrible has already come to pass? If thoughts and prayers are your thing, great. But keep in mind, they are the culinary equivalent of salt. A pinch of it is good. It really does make a difference. But you're never going to want that for the main course. The main course needs to be carefully thought out, planned ahead of time, invested in wisely, prepared, and then presented. And it will involve a lot of ingredients from all different aisles of the store. We can't approach combating climate change any differently than if we were to meal plan. A single item won't work. Gathering ingredients from a single aisle is ill-advised. We need to work with all sections across many different fields. and maybe even use some things we've never heard of in order to create a stunning dish that people actually want to eat. So let's pull out all the stops and start putting in the hard work needed to make a difference. I'm often a negative Nancy about social media, but using it to help raise awareness and put plans in motion is a true benefit so long as it's not virtue signaling. This cannot be a simple thoughts and prayers or donation exercise in the heat of the moment, and then we wash our hands and bury our heads back into our own lives. Catastrophes like the fires in California, the Amazon, and Australia will only continue with increased frequency and severity all around the globe. And the worst thing we could do is turn our backs on the growing evidence that something needs to be done every day, all around the world, to prevent them from worsening. A quick share of images on social media, thoughts and prayers, are nothing more than cognitive dissonance. Should we then turn our backs on the underlying systematic changes that must happen? We cannot afford to live in denial and ease if we hope to live at all. Listen, I don't want to be preachy, and yet here I am. It's time to get outside our comfort zones, to start talking, start learning, start teaching, and start working with others to find long-term sustainable solutions to something that will one day affect us all. Our perceived differences need to be put aside to address something that is having an impact on individuals everywhere. It's only a matter of time before some doomsday scenario is knocking on our own front door if we continue to ignore what is right in front of us. There is no religion, no income bracket, no border, no gender or race that is exempt. Thank you for watching this episode of Tomorrow Today. If you'd like to help those affected by the fires and those working relentlessly on the ground, check the description box below for ways to donate. If you liked this episode, make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for future episodes. And as always, sharing is caring, but acting is changing the world.